Welcome back students to my channel. Today we are going to discuss effects of friction. First of all, what is friction? Friction is a force that opposes the relative motion between the two surfaces in contact with each other. Means whenever two surfaces they are in contact with each other, they apply a force, that what we call that force friction. Now in this lecture we will discuss the effects of friction. So let's start with the first one. What is the first effect of friction, students? Friction opposes the motion. Okay, this is the reason why this force is always called a resistive force, because it will always oppose the motion. What is the meaning of oppose? Means it will always try to stop the motion of a moving body. Let's understand this concept with the help of real life examples. Let's take this first example what we have. You can see in this video also, student, the ball which is rolling on a ground. What we observe, a ball rolling on a ground slow down after covering certain distance. So what is the reason why it is slow down? There must be any force acting on that ball which tries to stop the motion of that ball. What we call that force? Frictional force. So here the answer is a friction. That friction is responsible to stop the motion of the ball. So students, look here in this picture. Now how does frictional force act? There is a ball. Okay, student. This is what we have, a ball which is moving. And what is the direction of the motion? In this direction, towards this arrow, towards right. Now there are two surfaces in contact. What are those two surfaces? The lower surface of this ball and the ground. When they are in contact, they will rub with each other and a friction will produce. And that friction will try to stop the motion of this ball. So what will be the direction of that force? It will be always opposite. Okay, this frictional force direction will be always opposite to the motion. Why? Because it is trying to stop. It is always oppose the motion of the body. So I hope first example is clear, that why balls slow down after covering some certain distance, because a frictional force is acting between the ball and the ground which will resist the motion of the ball. Clear, student? Let's move to the next example. Yeah. So what we have in the next example, student? What happened when we stop pedaling a bicycle? Yes, its speed will decrease and gradually after covering certain distance it will stop. So what is the reason why it is stopped? There must be any force which is acting on the cycle which stop the motion of the cycle. So what we call that force? Yes, student, that is nothing but a friction. Students, look here. When we are moving, okay, then the bicycle, there are the wheels of bicycle. Okay, look here. The wheels of the bicycle and in the ground there is a force because they rub with each other, okay, while moving. So there is a force acting between them. What we call that force? Frictional force. And what will be the direction? As you can see in this arrow, the direction is always opposite to the direction of the applied force. Applied force is the direction in which the cycle is moving. That is the direction of the motion. Okay, so the direction of the friction will be opposite to the direction of the motion, and this friction force will try to stop the motion of the bicycle. So this is a reason, student, why we keep on pedaling while this moving when we are sitting on a bicycle. Okay, why? Because friction force acting between the wheels or the tire and the ground will always try to stop the motion of the cycle. Okay, student. Now let's move to the next example. Yes, now what we have here, the second effect of force, that friction always act in a direction opposite to the motion. So this I already told you, because this is a resistive force and its direction will be always opposite to the direction of motion. Only then the object will stop, because if its direction will be opposite to the direction of motion. Students, look in this example what we have there is a person who is pushing this heavy box. Student, if it is pushing, the box will move in which direction? In the right hand side direction. Now the lower part of this box and this what we call that surface ground, they are in direct contact with each other and they rub each other, and while rubbing a force will produce in between them. What we call that force? Frictional force. So the what will be the direction of friction force? It will be its direction will be opposite to the direction of motion. Student, if the surface will be smooth, then the friction will be low. Why? Because irregularities will be low, and while rubbing, less friction will produce. And if the surface is rough, the irregularities will be more, and while rubbing, more friction will be produced. Okay, student. And students, have you noticed when we give a small push to the box will not move, but when we push it with more effort, the box will move. Okay, why so? Because the when we are applying more force. Okay, in that case, that force which we are applying will overcome the frictional force. Only then the box will move. If the effort is less, then the applied force will be less than frictional force. In that case, the box will not move. Okay, so which force here will try to stop the motion of this box? That is the resistive force. What we call that force? Frictional force. Let's move to the next example now. Friction produces heat. Student, in cold days, generally what we are doing, we are rubbing our hands with each other. So why we are rubbing hands, and what happen when we rub hands? Students, when we rub hands, we feel warm, we feel that heat is produced in our hands. So what, while rubbing, which force is generating in our hands? That is a friction. That friction produces heat. What it produces? Heat. Students, clear this effect. Let's move to the next example, real life example. Yes, in ancient times, students, how the people produce the fire? They produce fire by rubbing the stones with each other. When the two surfaces, they are in contact, okay, they rub with each other, what produces in between them? Friction, and that friction produces here the heat. Clear, students? You can see here in this video also. Okay, when the two surfaces, they are in contact with each other, they rub each other, then the friction comes into play, and that friction produces heat. Clear, student? Now let's move to the next example. Yes, lighting of matchstick. Students, how we will light a matchstick? We will rub the matchstick. You can see in this video, we rub the matchstick with that matchbox. That matchbox has a rough surface. When the two surfaces, they will come in contact with each other, okay, they rub each other, then what will produce? Friction, and that friction is causing here heat, produces heat. Clear, students? Let's move to the next example. Yes, friction causes wear and tear. Students, we generally notice that in around us, that when we are using cycles, bikes, cars, scooters, trucks, after some time we saw that the tires of these vehicles, they wear out. Why so? Because again the answer is same, student. They rub these, the lower part of these uh, what we can say wheels and this ground, they are in contact with each other, they continuously rub when they are moving. While moving, rubbing each other, which thing will generate in between them? Friction, and that friction causes wear and tear. Clear, student, this effect? So friction causes wear and tear. In one more example of this, students, in machines also, when the moving parts gradually wear out. Why? Because the moving parts, they rub each other, and while rubbing, which thing will act here? Friction, and that friction causes wear and tear. I hope the effects of force are clear to you. What are the three effects of force we have discussed here, students? The first effect is the friction always oppose the motion. It will always try to stop the motion of a body. Okay, and its direction, what will be its direction, student? Its direction will be always opposite to the direction of the motion. That's why this force is also called a resistive force. Then next is friction produces heat. Whenever two bodies rub with each other, which thing will produce heat? Why so? Because of friction. Next is what we have here. Next effect is friction causes wear and tear. In this we have seen in our daily life in the case of wheels of rickshaws. Okay, and then we have like cars and trucks all wear out because of the friction. Next is what we have, moving parts of machine also wear out because of the friction. I hope this lecture is clear to you. If it is clear to you, students, please don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you, everyone.